Wow. There's a lot of people in here for me to disappoint. Alright, let's get to it. We truly have been living in a heavy remake and reboot era. Games, movies, shows, everything has been getting a remake or a revamp to their franchise, which on paper is a pretty good thing. It can be a way to reintroduce these franchises to a new generation of fans so that they can fall in love with them and experience them in a fresh and engaging way. And it can also breathe life to a once outdated system or mechanic that now takes on a new form. On one hand, we get products with love and care that deliver like what Capcom has been doing with the Resident Evil series, creating remakes with revised gameplay that engages and stands along the original release, and even surpassing it in some cases. And then on the other hand, we have Disney and Netflix just trying to pinch more money into their hands by releasing these live-action imitations of pre-established animations that never live up to what they're based on. But then there are also times where creators seek out to reboot a series, come in with a fresh perspective on the characters and the world, and introduce it in a way to connect with a new audience, while also satisfying the old ones. And we have been seeing it for a lot of franchises now, both beloved and forgotten. I'm genuinely curious how many people know what Perfect Dark was when that trailer dropped. Recently, this has become a phase of cautious optimism for many, as the concern of the new creators misunderstanding the source material is ever prevalent when making a reboot. And one that we are bound to get shortly is a new Tomb Raider game, setting up the infamous archaeologist in a new adventure for a whole new generation. Again, honestly, it's a pretty good time to do it since we've been devoid of a lot of games of this type for a while. And Naughty Dog has less interest in making a new Uncharted game and more interest in retelling the same story for the 40th fucking time. But Tomb Raider is a household name. The games alone have perpetuated the series so far. It has grown to have movies, comics, animated TV shows, and Lara Croft is an iconic character in all of it, representing female characters for years now alongside Samus Aran. But you've probably noticed, I said that they're rebooting this franchise again. And yeah, this isn't the first time they've done this. The series has had 2 other reboots throughout the years, and is now split into 3 separate trilogies that I know of. The OG trilogy that started in 1996, the Legends trilogy in 2006, and the most recent reboot, the Survivor trilogy in 2013, which is the topic of today's video. This trilogy is very interesting to me because this was the Lara Croft that I grew up with. I went through middle school and high school seeing this Lara Croft through trailers and promotional material, and it caught my attention. I was an Xbox kid. I hadn't played Uncharted at the time, so seeing these trailers was exciting to me because I had heard a lot about Tomb Raider, and I wanted to finally play one. And now I could finally play a modern one. I also thought that Lara was hot, but I mean, that's everyone. But when it comes to the rest of the trilogy, I only ever played this one. I do remember the other ones coming out and existing, but I never got around to picking them up. So that got me wondering, how successful were these games? Did it succeed in bringing Lara Croft back to the limelight? Did she become as iconic as her OG counterpart, or was it a fluke? So let's go ahead and get into Tomb Raider 2013. So, this game starts hard. I've gotten so used to games taking their time and setting up characters and plot, and this is especially true for the Uncharted games, at least Uncharted 4, which I played before this, and in that game, after the intro, it takes a long time for you to get into a mission where you're actually using a gun. Tomb Raider is just like, holy shit, the boat's on fire! You get a quick CG cutscene that has aged pretty well, and then you are immediately in the game. And I appreciate that. While I'm never opposed to games slowing down and telling an engaging story, sometimes you just want to get right into the action. And that's exactly what Tomb Raider does. You understand what's happening and what you need to do. And that is to get your bearings so that you can plan your next move. There's bound to be a way off this island. Oh. Well, that's not good. Something that's established right off the bat is that this game is a lot more grim compared to the previous ones. The 90s games and the Legend trilogy got away with a T rating for all their games. Now, that's not to say that the games weren't violent. They were able to get away with quite a bit despite a T rating. But when you compare it to what you see here, it makes the OG games look like Wonder Pets. The blood and gore on display here is immense. And damn, Laura just can't catch a break in the opening section. She barely escapes from a crashing ship, almost drowns, gets washed up on shore, only to get socked in the face, then is hogtied upside down in a cave with skulls and corpses, has to burn the wraps off of her, and then gets impaled by rebar. And this is just the start of the game. There's still a lot of pain both physically and mentally that she will have to go through. The rise from the T to M rating is felt immediately. And for the most part, it's done sensibly to showcase a more gritty tone of the franchise and showcase a desolate vibe of the island and the inhabitants. It also allows for the environment design to be on full display, as throughout the game you are going through caves and tombs that are full of skeletal remains and corpses of previous souls that unfortunately found their way here. Raising the maturity rating for anything is a tricky thing to do. It's something that has been done multiple times, and when you want to increase the mature themes, it should feel organic, and still fit with the overall aesthetic of what came before. Because if not, it can come off as edgy and tryhard. You got stuff like Clone Wars that starts very kid-friendly in the first few seasons, but gradually hits you with bleak and foreboding tones as the seasons go on. But on the other hand, you have something like Velma, which is taking a very kid-friendly show and throwing in as much sex jokes and violence as they possibly can, and it doesn't fit. For the most part, this game uses its mature themes well, and they are implementing it in a way that works for this new version of the story. They want to push the survivalist tone throughout the game, and it achieves it with the level of brutality that is inflicted on both the cutscenes and the gameplay. The mature rating enhances the set dressing of the environment designs and the choreography of the cutscenes. I was really impressed with how the environments looked in this game, especially in the caves and caverns. They have a visceral and creepy vibe to them, and it adds good tension to the situation you're in. When you are lighting up a tomb with a torch and see corpses and skeletons pile up as you keep moving forward, it reinforces how dangerous the island is. We see that in the enemies as well, with how they treat not just you and your allies, but also each other. But we'll get to that later. The brutality of the other survivors is seen early on with them butchering people who refuse to obey their demands and executing anyone who gets in their way. But Lara is capable of doing the same to them, as seen in the first man she kills. And goddamn, this game is not screwing around, and it's here that both Lara and the player learn that these sickos are not gonna pull any punches, and neither are we. So if they wanna hit us, then we'll hit back harder. The gameplay of Tomb Raider is split into three main segments: combat, climbing, and puzzles. Starting with combat, it packs a punch. Unlike other games that have a large amount of weapons and weapon types, Tomb Raider sticks with the basics and has you improving your four main weapons as you continue to explore the island. You start with a makeshift bow and arrow, using it to hunt animals for food, but very quickly, this becomes your go-to weapon in many situations, even outclassing your pistol and rifle as it is the weapon with the longest range. The upgrades make it even more deadly with fire and explosive ammo, and I love explosive ammo in anything. As for the guns you acquire in this game, they are all World War II era firearms, so they are rusted and clunky and they properly feel like it, at least at the beginning. The pistol is good for picking off headshots and weak points against armored enemies, while eventually coming with a silencer to help with stealth kills along with the bow. The shotgun has the most straightforward solution to most problems. Just blast the bastards. It's especially useful against the melee guys that charge you, and this can very quickly turn into a match of COD zombies when there's a large wave of them around you. And this baby even gets Dragon's Breath ammo, allowing me to truly relive my days of Black Ops with a Spaz 10. Finally, there's the rifle, which honestly feels more akin to an SMG, as its bursts are more useful in a mid to close range fight. This ends up getting a grenade launcher attachment causing mass destruction, and is perfect for long-range lane clearing and dealing with tough enemies. The arsenal is fewer, but it makes sense given the environment you're in. You have to scavenge and survive using what you can find. The advantage to having a smaller selection of guns is that each weapon has its use, and you will be using all of them at different times. Unlike other games that have a larger amount of guns, where it can feel like one is more underpowered compared to the other, and is rarely used because of that reason. But the weapons aren't just used for murder. They are also essential tools for exploring the environment around you. The bow allows you to shoot ropes to cross gaps, the shotgun clears debris in your way, and the rifle's grenade launcher shatters rubble to enter caves. The game allows the player to solve conflicts with the environment with the weapons as well, and this creates a more organic gameplay loop where there is a greater connection to the player and the world through both the combat and the exploration. Combined with that, there's also a camp system where you can rest at campfires and upgrade your stats and abilities, and the campfires also act as save points for your game's progression? Huh. Moving on. But anyways, yes, the campfires allow you to upgrade. This includes enhancing the weapons as mentioned before, and new character abilities as well, giving Lara the ability to climb faster, become faster at dodging, being able to counter after dodging, and my personal favorite, finishing moves on stunned enemies. Lara be fucking people up in this game, and it's satisfying to see her evolve as her adventure continues. If there's one thing that this game is all about, it's fire. Fire is your best friend in this game. It keeps you warm, it burns debris to clear a path, and melts the faces off of cultists. Throughout the game, there's a bunch of puzzles and caves that task you with using fire through your weapons or torches to burn away cloth to make paths, and these can lead to secret passageways and bridges. And it's a pretty cool concept. At first, you have to light your torch at dedicated spots, and then carefully maneuver to preserve it and light the cloth accordingly. But as you progress, you gain more convenient and destructive ways to gain fire. Honestly, to a point where I felt like there was a bit of a missed opportunity. Because the puzzles at the beginning of the game have you thinking carefully about how you move with the torch to preserve it. And I had this mindset going into other puzzles in the game that involved it, and then I realized, oh yeah, I have a lighter. This is really just a minor nitpick, I just think there could have been something more with it. But beyond that, these puzzles will also lead you to tombs, and you won't believe this, you raid them.
He said it! He said it!
But something that also involves raiding is the title Raid Shadowlet. Nah, I'm just kidding. Throughout the game, there are optional tombs that you can go through and complete for extra XP and weapon parts. Where games like Uncharted would make the puzzle parts mandatory, Tomb Raider makes some of them optional, prompting the player to go out and peek around corners to see what the secrets hold. So overall, the gameplay is pretty good. It's enough variety to keep it engaging, and the runtime makes sure that you won't get burned out from it. However, this was made in 2013, so there is a lot of 2013 jank.
Fucking kill you, child! Oh shit!
What the fuck? Including everyone's favorite gameplay mechanic, QuickTime events. Now I get it, QTEs are kind of a staple in Tomb Raider. They've been in them for a while. And the fails of the older games are pretty funny. But as modern games kept on evolving, we have moved past the need for QTEs in a lot of modern titles now. So it's something that you're going to notice if you play this game today. Now, it's not like the QTEs in Tomb Raider are over redundant, it's just something that shows its age when you play. But also, I don't know if this was an issue with just my game in particular, but there were some cases where the QTEs would just not fucking work. And it got really annoying. And while the combat is fun, sometimes the enemy AI can act really dumb. The melee guys are so dedicated that they will charge into a trench shotgun after seeing their buddy get eviscerated by it. Now, if anything, this does at least put it on the funny side of jank, so I can forgive it. And the gameplay goes in hand with the narrative.
Let's see if this thing still works.
So, does anyone else realize that this game's story is very similar to Far Cry 3? I was about midway through the game when I started to see it. The main characters are stranded on an island that they originally traveled to seek adventure. The island is full of dangerous inhabitants that a psychopath leads. The main character starts as a rookie forced to kill in self-defense, but later adapts to their situation and becomes more ruthless. The island also holds ancient artifacts and monuments to wars from the past, and contains tombs that hold treasure and lore from an ancient civilization. Both main characters are tasked with saving their girlfriends from a dangerous psychopath, and by the end of the game, the trauma they endured from the island changes them to the point where they become a different person from what they were at the beginning of the story. Yeah, I know the context is not exactly the same, and the gameplay varies quite a bit, but it's still something to think about. But that being said, the storytelling in this game is effective. So instead of getting the setup at the beginning of the game, the main plot points and character motivations are revealed throughout the story through journal logs and recorded videos before the crash. And for the most part, it works well enough to get the characters established quickly. The main plot is that Laura is part of this exhibition to find an island located in the Dragon's Triangle. But as you're moving closer, the ship is caught in a deadly storm, sinking the boat and causing everyone to wash up on the island of Yamatai. So it is a pretty good setup so far. We got our characters, we got our conflict, and we got our location. However, there's a slight issue with one of those things. So here's a list of characters that I remember off the top of my head from the Uncharted series. Nathan, Sully, Elena, Chloe, Charlie Cutter, Sam, Nadine, Rafe. All of these characters I remember from playing the games, and they stick out because they have great interactions with each other and make their mark in the story. Here are the characters that I remember in Tomb Raider, specifically this game. There's Laura, Sam, and then everyone else. I remember the role of the rest of the characters: the mentor figure, the kooky ship captain, the mean black lady, the nice Samoan guy, the asshole rival character, nerd emoji incarnate, and Lord Sadler. The characters are not the most memorable ones. Now, granted, they don't have to be these grand-esque Shakespearean casts that are deep and intricate with their desires. It's a fucking video game, it's not that deep. I just think the writing leaves a little bit to be desired. If anything, they work to make Laura a better character, which is good because she is the main protagonist. Roth exists as a mentor figure, so the poor guy was digging his grave from the beginning. He supports and pushes Laura forward until he is no longer able to. James acts as a foil to Laura, being the senior archaeologist, but driven by his selfishness and ego leads him to throw the rest of the survivors under the bus, showing Laura what she needs to rise above and a path to not go down. Alex is just here to stand Laura. Bro is down bad for her, which, I mean, I guess I can't blame him. He reminds me a lot of Warren from Life is Strange. He's the dweeb that has a crush on the main character that isn't interested in him, but he has a decent enough send-off that makes him likable. He also makes a lot of real-life references, which kinda caught me off guard. There's a few moments where characters will reference things like Disneyland.
Storm's more like makes the Bermuda Triangle look like Disney World.
Well, unless you see a Radio Shack around, you're gonna have to patch it manually through the maintenance panel.
I don't know, I'm just not used to hearing shit like that in games. Jonah and Jocelyn serve as opposites. Jonah is always optimistic and supportive, while Jocelyn is more pessimistic and challenges the group. It is understandable for the most part. She wants to get back home to her daughter, but there are a few story beats that I feel like they don't really lead anywhere. It was only after replaying this game that I found out that she had a love affair with Roth. And this is the main reason why she is bitchy at Laura when she finds him dead. Thankfully, she doesn't stay this way the whole game, so you don't have to deal with it the whole time. And then Jonah doesn't really have much more to his character. He does grow into a more interesting character in Rise, but for now, he's just here to be the support man. And then finally, we get Sam, Laura's friend.
They seem to be very good friends.
Laura seems to really care about her because she does call her name quite a bit.
Sam! Sam!
What's interesting is that Sam herself is not the one that is interested in the island, at least not in the way that Laura is. She's excited in the way that she wants Laura to go out and have more fun in her life, rather than being cooped up. You can find journal entries that tell how Sam is the one that pushes Laura further to move out of her comfort zone, which to me makes her one of the more interesting characters in this story. Which is rather unfortunate because of what they do with her going forward, but we'll get to that later. Then there's Matthias. He's the bad guy. I mean, look at him. He has his reasons for being crazy. Being on an island that literally won't let you leave would make anyone crazy, and his purpose is the most straightforward. He's the bad guy Laura needs to shoot. And she does. A lot. With dual pistols too, which is a cool detail at the end. A nice callback to the OG games. So the characters are not the most memorable ones in the world. Some of them are very cliche and don't make their mark. And hell, most of them fucking die. But they don't need to, because at the end of the day, this isn't their story, it's Laura's. She's the main character, and the one that needs the development. And that's also seen when Laura is alone, because when we start escaping from the cave, Laura is a scared little girl. And when she's charging headfirst, challenging the men that at first scared her shitless, taunting them and blasting them with the weapons and skills she's achieved over time, she becomes a well and true badass. Even in the quiet moments, we see her grow, sharing her knowledge on the tombs she finds and giving background lore on the artifacts and structures around the island. Something that I really like about this game is that every now and then, Laura will narrate her journal entries when you rest at a campfire, reflecting her thoughts and feelings on large events that transpire. It makes her feel more human and shows the trauma that she's going through. Another nice touch is that all the logs are narrated, whether it's one of the other survivors, a cultist member bad-mouthing their companions, or an ancient Japanese soldier jotting their thoughts, it's all voice acted, which is a great way to show the perspective. And it also ties in with the story of the past corresponding with the conflict of the present. In true Indiana Jones fashion, the story starts relatively grounded, with the crash and Laura just trying to stay alive. But after Sam's ancestry is discovered, Matthias takes an interest in her, and that's when the supernatural elements come in, revealing that Queen Himiko's spirit is trying to free herself, and Sam, being her descendant, is the perfect candidate for Matthias to use, as he believes it will be the solution for getting off the island. This is also where we get some new enemies, remnants of Japanese soldiers that are sworn to Himiko. We also get a boss fight with this terrifying giant samurai-possessed statue thing. Which reminds me, there was a question I saw a while back asking if Laura would be able to survive the Resident Evil universe. And, I mean, if she's soloing this on her first adventure, I think she'd be fine. But eventually, Laura can save Sam, and the remaining survivors are finally able to leave the island once and for all. And despite everything, Laura has one more thing to say.
I'm not going home.
Despite the horrific events she went through, Laura achieved what she set out to do, seek adventure, and now she is determined to do it again. Overall, this game still holds up very well. There are buggy moments, and some mechanics are showing their age. What the fuck? Oh my fucking god, dude! But for a setup to a new trilogy, it hits. It sets up Laura's origins excellently and introduces a fun gameplay system on which to expand on. And now our generation has our own Lara Croft to grow with. And she set off to discover even more unknown frontiers in the sequel, Rise of the Tomb Raider. And well, let's just say there's a lot to discuss. So, the last video performed surprisingly well, to say the least. And I'm pretty speechless about that, man. From the bottom of my heart, everyone who watched that video, who agree with my points, who disagree with my points, who just watched the damn video, thank you guys so much. It has been such a crazy month. Just having all the comments, all the views come into that, it just means so much to me. So thank you guys once again from the bottom of my heart. Right off the bat, I want to go ahead and shout out Boxes of Comics. We also did a survival guide / interview type of thing on his channel, and so I highly recommend you go check him out. But thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.